For further analysis, let's cross now to Spencer Critchley. He's a Democratic strategist, and he joins us now live from Monterey in California. Thank you for being with us on the program, sir. I want to get your initial thoughts on this indictment. Some say that Trump was caught off guard. Some say it's going to be the most politically charged trial in history. What would you say?
I think that that's quite likely. And I think also it's crucially important to maintain the distinction between politics and justice. This is fundamental to the separation of powers in the original design of our democracy, sometimes called Madisonian democracy for James Madison, and what I think is frankly brilliant design going back to the founding. Now, somebody like a Trump really has very little to do with Madisonian democracy. And in fact, his whole approach to politicizing absolutely everything and personalizing absolutely everything actually dates back to well before the founding of the United States in the Enlightenment, and it goes back to the Middle Ages and before. He's essentially always tried to rule as an absolute monarch with loyalty required to him, and with him embodying the nation, supposedly, and embodying even the law. All of this is absolutely antithetical to democracy. And I think this is a crucial time for Americans who still believe in democracy, which is the great majority of Americans, to just calmly and resolutely stand up for the rule of law.
Right. He lost by a very, very, very slim margin to Joe Biden. How do you think this is going to affect his reelection bid in the upcoming presidential elections?
The margin actually, by modern standards, I don't think most political consultants would describe as slim, but I would agree that it was far too slim, given that Joe Biden was running against somebody who was actively trying to overthrow American democracy and staged an attempted coup in the closing days of his presidency. So it should not be close. And this is actually a question I often ask my fellow Democrats. Why is it even close when you're running against a lifelong con artist who shouldn't be anywhere near any public office, let alone the presidency, who has shown himself to be a criminal and has progressed from an ethnic nationalist and bigot to an outright fascist? So it should not even be close. So this is a crucial time in our history. We're not running the traditional campaign of Democrats versus Republicans. Trump actually has nothing to do with traditional Republicanism. He's a gangster, essentially, and we are really running campaigns to rescue American democracy. There's nothing less than that at stake.
Well, if there's one thing he's known for, it's the way he talks and communicates with both his supporters and opposers. He's being investigated for the Capitol Hill riots, which are said to have been fueled by the messaging that Trump gave to his support base through social media and other platforms. He's back on those platforms now, and he was once banned from those platforms because of the tweets that he was tweeting. Do you think there's a risk of incitement of violence again?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just recently he held a campaign rally in Waco, Texas, the site of the notorious armed standoff with the Branch Davidian religious cult, which resulted in, I think it was 80 some deaths, and is considered as a sort of Alamo-like event of rebellion by the extreme right against the federal government. He deliberately chose that location. And while he was there, he celebrated the January 6th coup rioters to the point of playing a song performed by some of the ones who are now in prison. Now, as several other people have pointed out, just imagine if, say, a left-wing figure, particularly, say, a left-wing figure who happened to be black, was celebrating armed rioters who stormed the U.S. Capitol and was constantly inciting mobs to commit further violence. I think that the outrage would be a conflagration on the right, and frankly, rightly so. This is absolutely an outright direct attack on democracy.
All right, Spencer Critchley, thank you so much for joining us here on TRT World and sharing that analysis with us.